I'm sure you've all seen the 533 Freestyle frame under development for these past couple months, and I'm excited to say we have the first prototype in hand. I just posted a first impressions video of me flying Armando's quad that he built up, but I wanted to do a build video to show not the final product, but where we're at right now and how things are looking, get feedback from you guys, what looks good, what doesn't look good. I've already been reading and skimming through all the comments as to what people thought from the first impressions video, and I'm gonna try and cover a few of those things in the build video. It should be quick, it should be easy, because the frame is pretty easy to build, and you should learn a little bit or a lot about what's going on behind the scenes to make this Freestyle frame as good as possible and here for you all by Black Friday. Per usual, our light box is a complete mess. Regarding the packaging right now, you have the body kit, which includes your bottom plates, camera plates, spine plates, your split top deck design, and all of the hardware. As far as TPU prints right now, this is the way it's printed. It's one piece, which is really nice if you're printing your own, but we'll cover that more than likely. And you have your spacers for the split top deck design, which I'll go over in a second. And then your camera inserts here for the 03 or any micro size camera. Additionally, you will get 4 6mm arms as seen here. And you will have a GoPro mount of your choice. This is for a GoPro 11 Mini that has this clasp design on the back to slip it in, which is pretty cool. But that's what you can expect as of right now in the box. And maybe we'll do a cool box, maybe we won't. I kind of want to. I think that'd be cool for a Freestyle design. Something that is kind of cool in my opinion is we have this 3D print version from way early on in the prototyping. It's made out of like PLA. You can see I can like bend it in half on my shoulder. But this is where it all started and how we prototype a lot of things between 3D printing and cutting things on our laser printer or our laser cutter. That is how we start to verify the designs, and then we hop into a carbon order like this to give out to team pilots and also to a couple lucky people watching this video, which I'll get to at the end. Tearing everything out of the package is really easy. You just press it like so. Having everything laid out, it becomes very apparent this is a prototype run. As you can see, we have 2 different top plate types, a standard full top plate, and then the split top deck that we are so excited about. You have your mid plate and bottom plate here. You see you have mounting for air unit, OG air unit, wax nail, all etc. And then in this rendition, only 20x20 mounting for the flight controller stack up front. We're gonna talk more about that in a little bit. We have our aluminum CNC camera plates, which we really like, our spine plates, and then of course our arms. With nearly any 523 design, the first thing that you're gonna do is put in your stack screws. So we're gonna come over here, grab these stack screws like so, and then I'm gonna have to look for some nylon nuts to hold these stack screws. And I think that is the first change that I would already like to make. Is it would be so cool if there were press nuts here for the stack. That way you do not have to use any kind of nuts. Luckily, I spend every waking hour of my life in a drone store, so have some nylon nuts here. Super cheap and a good thing to keep around your drone working space of yourself. So the press nut side is going to be the top. You're gonna drop your stack screws in like so. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. And because this is a slam deck design, especially when you do the split deck, then this will only be a 2-high stack of a 4-in-1 ESC and of your choice and flight controller. And then you should have room for your air unit in the back and then a receiver in the plenty of real estate that is available after we have our stack screws in like so. Again, 20x20 mounting, just high enough for a 2-high stack. We're going to grab our 2 spine pieces here, these guys, which come nearly exactly from our Light Switch V2 and Light Switch Ultra, V2 Ultra design. And as we've kind of talked about in previous videos, we wanted to bring that knowledge and inner workings of our race frames that were so light and so stiff, and then implement that into a top-of-the-line Freestyle frame. So once your spine plates are dropped in, you're going to grab your bottom/front plate. This is where the camera is going to go. And instead of like a normal frame where it'll stack on like so, you're actually going to kind of make a Z with it. So you'll have your back, that is where your HD system or analog, you can do analog, and then the front will be where your camera goes. So it'll kind of create this Z, but it all is interlocked via this spine plate. We have our spine plate like so, we have our little Z, then we can grab our arms One thing I will note is you do have stack screw access even after doing this. So unlike other 533 frames where you're kind of screwed if you put it all together before you put your stack screws in, this is not one of those. We're learning, we're getting better, but it's actually just a nicety of this design. The way the arms go in is super simple. They're going to slide in and then drop in over the spine plate. This gives stiffness and wiggle side to side, but then also as they overlap over top of each other, as we've seen in racing frames for years now, that also provides stiffness in this way. Additionally, because the spine plates go up and down the body, it gives the frame an incredible amount of stiffness with very, very little weight, which is one of the biggest things we're excited about. You know, black box logs and performance is something that is very valued in racing because we care about so much about weight and performance, and we've brought those kind of values, if you will, to the freestyle world and have gotten really good results from all of our test units so far. As I said, drop it in like so, make sure it aligns over the spine plate. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the other one, flip it over. I guess that is one thing to note is there aren't like A and B arms or anything like that. These are all the same arms, and then we're just gonna grab our 4 screws. Since this is a prototype, these are not countersunk or anything like that, nothing fancy. And then those will literally just drop in like so, super easy. We'll screw them in and go from there. Now we're moving on to our 2 front arms, which again will slide in and slide in. We're only doing the outside screws right now. We have not done the compression screws quite yet, but we'll move on to those very, very shortly. So what I mean by that is we're only doing these screws, and then there's going to be a middle screw here that kind of conjoins them and provides a little bit of extra stiffness for a very little amount of weight. But right now I'm just doing the arm screws because it makes your life easier going forward. Everything I just said was wrong. I accidentally used the short screws for the arms, but we're actually going to use these slightly longer screws here so that we can stack our standoffs on top of that. Using your arm screws for standoffs like this eliminates hardware, which makes the frame cheaper, but it also makes it lighter, because if you add all these extra standoffs and hardware and all these things seem like a feature, it actually just ends up with more screws to put together the frame, a heavier frame, a more complex frame, and by simplifying it like this and making your arm screw a part of your standoff, it really simplifies and lightens up everything that we've had a lot of good luck with in race frames over the past few years. So now we're going to use the short screws for the middle compression screws, if you will, which, as I said before, are there and there. All you do is drop those in, and the idea is that those become flush on the other side with the press nut, and this just really sucks together the arms and stiffens everything up too. And I'll say, after getting all these screws on, the stiffness you get without a top plate or anything is already just incredible because of those spine plates and these thick arms and the overlapping and everything. It really gives an already stiff frame. You put a top plate on it, and when you combine it with all the other features that are a part of it, it's looking to be a really awesome platform. Next, we're gonna install our aluminum camera mounts that look like this. They are very nicely milled out, and there is an A and a B piece. So there's gonna be a left and a right. They'll be nicely marked in the production version, but these, you just kind of have to line them up to find the flat side. The way they mount is simply by a little notch in the frame, and all you're gonna do is make sure they're slanted backwards and the flat side is facing in. So that would be like this, see, slanted backwards, and the flat side is facing in right here. And then do the same thing with our other one, like this. Slanted backwards and facing in. These aluminum camera brackets are secured by these tiny little M3 screws. They screw in, and between the notch and that screw on the bottom, it secures them really nicely. Of course, it's going to be sandwiched by the top plate or split deck camera mount either way, but it's good to know that it's secured and just the threads are built right into the aluminum from the get-go. Alrighty, now for the exciting part. Do we want to do the split deck design, or do you want to do a single top plate? Well, the good news is you can decide. So for the single top plate design, it would just notch on the top like so. You're going to have a little bit more build space, of course, in the back, which some people may appreciate. You don't have to deal with any special standoffs. You would use just your common, normal knurled standoffs like this. Have a little bit more build space, but that's boring, right? That's not cool. That's not new. That's not unique. Maybe I'm just biased because I think the split top deck is really cool and the way Armando did it with these custom standoffs is awesome. But I do think at the very least we're going to offer a normal top plate version to make people happy. But for the sake of this video, I'm gonna build the cool one, the split top deck. So for the split top deck design, you're going to use these really cool standoffs, which I'll talk more about in a second, as well as these other shorter standoffs for the back. Additionally, you're going to need this small camera plate, which your GoPro will go right on top of. Props out of view, better center of gravity, etc. And this will be your back plate, which is where your battery will mount. I'm going to put these two small standoffs on the rear arm, like so. And then we're going to have to feed a screw through the back section here to give us room for the third standoff to go right on top. Got that last screw on the back, and we're going to put our last little standoff here. This should still give you plenty of height for your O3 air unit, OG air unit, walk snail, whatever, but it's going to be slammed, like I said, only enough for a 2-high stack, but it looks so good, center of gravity is incredible, and this is definitely a machine built for performance. What we've all been waiting to see is these special custom-made standoffs. These will go on, these have a dog bone type design, but it's specifically for this split deck design. You'll screw them on like so, and then you'll see here that they have a little bump for your battery plate to slide over. So our battery plate is installed now, super low, super slammed for your 2-high stack, but we have a little bit of exposed standoff still there, which you'll then take your spacers like this, tear them apart, and then these spacers, just made of TPU, drop on to make this completely flush, which then allows you to put your camera plate, not like this, like that. So now your battery and stack and air unit are all super slammed, but then your GoPro is mounted up top to get props out of view, and that is super, super big in a freestyle frame in my opinion. Some people like the props in view. I think you're crazy and out of your mind. But if you have everything raised, then your CG is not great. But if you can get the best of both worlds, I think this is a great way to do it. Throwing the top plate on is all done with these very short countersunk screws. We have 3 for the back and 4 for the front. One thing that is really cool in my opinion is, for whatever reason, if you want to just get access to your camera or anything that you have stored up here, maybe an LED board or something of the sort, with just 4 screws you can have access to the full front of the frame. And then if you want to get access to the rest of the frame after taking those 4 screws off, all you're going to do is pull those 3 out the back, and then you can remove the entire top plate. But it's nice when you have that split deck design to have the ability to just have access to the front, just have access to the back, and just a small unintended perk, but something I figured I would mention as I put on these last 4 screws to mount my GoPro. As we wrap this up, I am going to go over to the scale before I let you all go so we can see how much this thing weighs with stack screws. Steel stack screws I will add. We have the full frame, looks like this. Incredibly stiff, I have to say. Like, seriously, one of the stiffest frames I've ever felt. Of course I'm biased, don't believe me. By all means, do not believe me. Feel it for yourself. Ooh, that was kind of smooth, Evan. But no, it seriously is super stiff. I'm excited to see how it holds up. One benefit that we've always noticed and known from racing frames is that short standoffs do require maybe a tighter build, but they are far superior as far as durability. They're not going to bend as easy. Your stack and build is just to be more compact and clean anyways to fit in there. And again, your GoPro is going to be up high like so, props out of view, and your battery is going to be super slammed. Toilet tank or hot dog, whatever you want to call it, normal battery mounting is available. And one thing that I saw that a couple people have said is they're worried about their battery sliding forward and getting cut by this carbon piece. So I think one thing that, or one option we will have is maybe a carbon piece that just puts a bumper right here. Like imagine the spacer built in with just kind of some kind of blocker that would, even if the battery slid, God forbid, forward, it would just run it right into that bumper. It wouldn't damage the battery. But some people are all worked up about it being the worst thing ever. If that's just a problem that you can't deal with for whatever reason, you can, no problem. Just go to the single top plate version and get all of the other cool features. The GoPro would be at the same height, so you would still have props out of view, but your battery would just be a little bit higher. If performance is not your number one priority and you just want something that's simpler and easier, then that could be the way you go. The nice thing is you have the choice. You get to pick these products. This whole project is built around the consumer, the customer, the pilot, and we just want to give you options. So if one way is not for you, that's totally fine. Run it a different way. Give us feedback as to how you would like it to better suit your needs, and we're gonna listen. We obviously have. That's how this thing was created. So just wanted to put that in there at some point in the video before we go weigh this. So, the moment of truth. Per usual, the duck, 533 duck never lies. And with stack screws and spacers and everything on there, 121 grams. Usually you can expect these stack screws to weigh just over a gram a piece, so we'll call them a quarter gram 25. That puts it at 117 grams if you subtract, or wait, I'm so bad at math. 116 grams once you subtract the stack screws, but with stack screws, the full length steel stack screws, 121, and all the full length hardware as seen here. With the spacers, with the aluminum camera mounts, with the spine design for the arm interlocking, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. We're going to keep making things better. We're going to implement changes, test those changes, and by Black Friday, we should have a name and a bunch in stock with an early bird price to get you guys in the air for the holiday season. I'm super excited about this project. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck in the giveaway, and I can't wait to see who wins. See you guys. Bye.